Will explain to my audience about death penalty and the pros and cons of it. So there are many debates about whether the death penalty is justified in the maintenance of human rights. Suppose you are a human rights activist. You are someone who has worked harder than anyone to abolish the death penalty. One day, however, your child was found murdered in the woods as a cold carcass. The arrested criminal does not show any signs of reflection, but rather acts to ridicule family members, including you. So in this situation, will you able to sincerely desire the abolition of the death penalty? Capital punishment is a punishment that deprives criminals of life and isolates them forever in society. However, it is often replaced by other penalties in various countries because of the human rights issues. So the argument against it is getting bigger. This issue has been a subject of controversy over the last few years, and you need to think about it just once or more because nobody knows what will happen in your surroundings. So I am here today to inform you about definition of the death penalty and the arguments against it. So first of all, we need to know specifically about the death penalty. In general, death is a punishment for those who commit crimes such as a murder. There are increasing numbers of countries that abolish it globally, and there are many cases where the era of abolition of death penalty is recognized as the transition and democratization of human rights. The beginning of the death penalty dates back to the beginning of human history. So, begin with the exact meaning of death penalty. It takes away the life of the targeted criminal. And the targeted criminals are mostly people who commit murder or even more serious crimes. According to Amnesty International, a country that has not executed a death sentence more than 10 years is considered to have been abolished. We can find information on the death penalty in the literature of many countries around the world. For example, there are Hammurabi Code, the oldest law, has a law that criminals must pay off their crimes, and there are 25 laws related to the death penalty. In England, there was more brutal punishment in the 15th century, such as burning and corruption. The justice of the death penalty is the greatest punishment for criminals who commit serious crimes, and this history has long been beyond our imagination. Amnesty International made the Stockholm Declaration against the death penalty in 1977, and the decision was made in the majority of countries by agreeing to the declaration. Currently, public opinion against the death penalty occupies a large part of the international community. Most of those who oppose the death penalty are involved in protecting human rights. Also, from the legal theoretical view, there is no justification for the death penalty, and according to the academic achievements so far, there is no scholar who succeeded in the theoretical justification of it. So the first question is, could the state or country take away the lives of its people for public welfare and social justice based on the supreme power of sovereignty? The essence of this question is that the punishment of death penalty, which is created to protect the lives of nations and to no one else, has the right to deprive humans of their lives. So, it may be contradictory to protect the life of someone who took away the life of others, as in the Hammurabi Code, but I think this is an old-fashioned and pre-modern thought. So in the modern society, most of the countries denies the punishment to the body, just as it does not harm the assailant equally. Like other crimes, there is no inevitable reason for this retaliation against murderers' poisoning. But quite a lot of people contradict this objection. So there are pros of it. So a considerable number of people believe that death penalty is the right way to punish serious criminals. Most advocates approach from a retributive point of view. Some of the consensus agree that the ultimate goal of punishment is prevention and rehabilitation. Even if some of the people abolish the death penalty, the pros think that we should accept the death penalty because there is no reasonable alternative. Among the main functions of punishment, the most essential and the most important function at the same time is retaliation. However, the assertion that the murder infringes on the right to life to others, even if the right to life is more essential than the right to liberty, the victim who has committed the crime first suffers less harm. Therefore, even if the victim has simply lived without any innocent damage, and the criminal will receive less punishment. And the second reason is that the death penalty imposes a fear on criminals because of its polarity and prevents violent crime. In fact, the United States abolished the death penalty in 1972, but after 4 years of widespread crime, it has been resurrected and is now being implemented in 38 states. The murder rate was the highest in Houston, Texas in 1981, when the murder rate was the highest. After the death penalty was resumed in 1982, more murders were executed than any other city or states, and the number of cases were reduced by 63%. So some of the criminals may be prevented from crime if there is a death penalty because they are afraid of it, even if only a small part of these cases can be enough, and whatever motive of crime can be prevented sufficiently. So the pros think that death is necessary punishment to compensate victims for their damage, and the death penalty can prevent other crimes and reduce the crime rate in the area. So those who have this opinion can't be ignored. So for this reason, controversy over the death penalty system is constantly being raised, and it seems difficult to resolve easily in any form of scientific explanation or logical statement. So I pray every day, hope this does not happen around us. However, since there are many risks involved, we should always be careful, and we should always be watch out for these things, and we should have fun, and consequently we should focus on these kind of debates and arguments. Thank you for listening.